Welcome to the hottest real estate topics on the planet, keeping you up to date with all the creative ways to buy and sell real estate without bank qualifying, so anyone can build real income starting today. Here is another great show with Dealmaker Bill and Pete the Rookie.
All right, here we are, another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies.
And they're off.
Episode number 236. Oh, my goodness. 236. Creative real estate special forces phrases to defuse offer awkward rookies quickly so they can make deals. That's a mouthful, huh?
I think you need to say that again.
Offer. Episode number 236. Creative real estate special forces phrases to defuse offer awkward rookies quickly so they can make deals.
All right. Got it.
Have you ever noticed after watching a good action movie, you can remember the fight scenes and in many cases mimic what you saw? That's because outside of being in the real fight, this is the best way to learn fighting or defend yourself. By watching the scenario unfold right in front of you on the big screen in live action. It is very easy for your mind to absorb these scenarios and then mimic what you saw. So this means for the best learning, rookies need close combat training while getting their asses kicked and get put in a hospital.
You're in a fisticuffle mood this morning.
Scenarios like a good action flick that would be both entertaining and educational, where it would show you realistic and common scenes and you go back into your life and it works for you. Plus, how to defend any incoming trouble. To prove this is true and that any offer awkward rookie can do this, we have arranged this podcast so you can defuse this offer awkwardness in privacy as you listen along without any risk or getting hurt. Once you are done, we'll agree this is the only proven and effective way to conquer deal after deal after deal so you can win the fight. So grab some paper and pencil and let's go.
Some mighty bold words there, Mr. Hawthorne.
Good morning, John. So before I get started, we have to do the housework stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to come up with a new word other than housework because every time I say that. What?
Yep. Housekeeping.
Housekeeping. Well, that's what I'm supposed to be saying, but I never seem to get it straight.
That's what I'm here for.
Mm-hmm. All right. So if you go into the description of where you found this podcast, no matter where it is, you will find a link there. That link will take you to our free page. There's, I think, 25 or 26 different things that you can get without a wallet, totally for free, no bucks. Okay. And there are things like scripts and videos, and there are things like checklists and things you can give your seller, how to that explain all this stuff. Okay, it's all free. There's a lot of stuff there. There's 25 or 26 different things that you can get. Also, for some time now, we on Thursday mornings, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, because Peter and I are in the illustrious state of Connecticut. Boo!
Used to be.
It's beautiful here. You have to admit, it's beautiful here.
It's really nice.
The bad part is the taxes. Anyway, and we're still here, so we got to stop complaining about it because we can move, right?
No, no.
So we are on the East Coast, so we live stream this recording on Facebook and on YouTube. So all you need to do is go to Facebook or YouTube, and you can type in "Flipping Houses for Rookies" at around 9:30. Sometimes we do a little bit earlier, sometimes a little bit later, depending on the two old guys' technology intervention the morning thereof.
And don't forget breakfast.
And oh yeah, I don't do breakfast. So in any event, you can go there. If you would like to be part of the podcast and have questions, you can go to YouTube or you can go to Facebook, and you can put it in the chat, and I see those right in front of me. You'll hear me throughout the podcast commenting to those people. They have been watching us live and or had been watching us live and had questions, and I'm responding to them. Last thing is make sure you subscribe or like wherever you're watching us. And of course, if there's any point where I say something or Peter says something, although Peter says some weird stuff, so I can't always take full responsibility for that. Right, Peter?
That's right. That's the other part of my job.
Yeah, just joking with you. So in any event, my point is this. You can send a support ticket. So if you go to Flipping Houses for Rookies and you want to just tell us something or have a question or didn't understand something I said or something Peter said or whatever, you can send us a support ticket. All right? Housekeeping done.
Good job.
All right. Episode number 236 is going to start. You will remember this one, Peter. And I know I've said this in the past, but this is definitely a different take on an old topic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
I have found there seems to be a lot of rookies out there that are offer awkward.
Yeah, that's the first time I've heard you say that, but I know what you mean. Offer awkward.
Awkward meaning lacking skill or showing the results and even lack of experience. Basically, you're clumsy when making an offer. Right? Which in turn makes the rookie feel he or she is lacking some sort of social grace and assurance because of this lack of making an offer to a seller's skill.
Yeah.
Good morning, Jamie. How are you this morning? And a lot perform unfavorable results. A lot of these rookies perform unfavorable results. Right?
Yeah.
And even cause financial harm to themselves and family, and even hostility trying to get through this one stage of training to get an actual deal or deal results. This, as far as I am concerned, after doing this for so long, has been the big shining light for me, is the major hurdle for creative real estate investors. This is it.
The awkward offers, that the offer stage?
Right. Awkward offers, yes.
Yeah.
Being an awkward investor. Now, here's the thing, Peter. Listen to this, because this took me a little bit to extract out of my mind. This podcast has taken me a few days to write, okay? Which is just because, not because it was hard, it's because I'm looking at the obvious, and you can't always see that.
You mean that stuff in front of your nose?
Mm-hmm.
Like air?
Right.
Yeah.
So if you notice, and when I say you, I mean any listener right now, if you're within earshot of me right now and you're listening, and you notice any one of these things, then you're considered offer awkward. So I've listed like 10 of the ones. I wanted to list a few more, but I don't want to make the whole podcast about that. But these are what I consider to be the most obvious. And I have extracted this because realize not only do I have a coaching group in the United States, but as of this last week, I have a coaching group in Israel. We put together a coaching group from Israel that they buy in the United States.
That's crazy, though.
I have my my email line, because if you go to Flipping Houses for Rookies and go to free stuff, or click on that link in your description, as soon as you download something, you're on my email list, which, by the way, my email list is not a normal email list, because the first thing that happens is you go through an indoctrination period of a week so that you see what I'm all about before you start getting my emails. And then once you get through the indoctrination period where I show you what creative real estate is about over the course of 5 days, because I do videos and all kinds of stuff, right? You then go onto my main email list, and that's where I give a lot of tips. I give a lot of things away. Not often, not every single week, not every single day, but I give things away, right? So being on my email list has a benefit, because, I mean, at Christmas time, I was out shopping and got bit by the Christmas bug, and came home and tapped out an email and gave some stuff away, like my forms I gave away for like 75% off. But it was a 24-hour thing.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people that open my emails got a tremendous value.
Yeah.
Okay. So I do stuff like that in emails. The point is this: when you get my emails, you get a lot of help via email. So what I'm trying to say is, so between all of these things that we're talking about, plus I do one-on-one interviews. I have a program, where if you come to the meetup, the monthly meetup, you get the rights, or you get a ticket to a free 45-minute consultation. So when I'm talking about rookies and when I'm talking about these things, it's not because I'm making it up, or I have some topic that I'm hyping up, or I'm just trying to get your attention and some marketing ploy. These are the things that I hear a lot, via email replies, here in the chat when I'm doing the podcast, when I'm doing the 45-minute one-on-ones, and sometimes those turn into more than 45 minutes because I'm trying to help somebody, and all this stuff is for free. So there's not a barrier to entry for the ticket price. Okay. So when I'm talking about this stuff, it's what I'm hearing. So these things are live, real, everyday, normal people situations. So I'm not, there might be some people listening to this podcast that don't have any problem talking to people.
Mm-hmm.
And their barrier is something else. But a majority of the people I talk to, they are offer awkward.
Yeah, Bill, I don't have problems talking to people. I've taken communication courses. I've taught communication courses. But still, when you're doing real estate and you're trying to make money and help people, help yourself, help your family, there's a lot at stake in it. So you can get a little nervous about, not that I do something wrong or that I lose one. I could have had one, I lost one. That's a little scary. So one can start fumbling even if one can speak well.
Exactly.
I can attest to that. I want to say something else too before I lose the thought. You talk about how much you get from people, and I know that. I see it, some of it at least. But people have to understand something about your emails. That's not just emails. You get your inspiration from kind of what happens every day to you.
Yeah.
So think of this, like you talk about like general things on the podcast. We go over a lot of general stuff, but I'm sure people are going, yeah, but what about some details? Those are in the emails. Like today, somebody dumped a bunch of stuff in my dumpster.
Yeah.
What do you do about that? Today,
the dumpster rat.
the plumbing didn't work and I couldn't get a permit. What did I do about that? There's a lot of details of all the nitty-gritty stupid stuff that happens every day that we can never cover here. But a lot of that's in the emails because I read them and I live some of those with you. So that's very helpful everyday stuff. Yeah. That's what that's what it's for.
I agree. Well, thank you.
You betcha.
All right. So if you notice this list is the long dissertation here is because this list is from what I'm considering talking to all these people, all these different people I talk to. Okay. Mm-hmm. Number one. So this is, if you're on this list or have a hint of this list, it means that you're deal awkward. Okay. Awkward.
I'm keeping track, Bill. I'm see how bad I am.
Number one. You're on the MLS looking for deals. Mm-mm.
Okay, no.
Number two, or you are internet surfing, looking for houses, not people that own them. So you're on the internet looking for houses, not looking for people that own them.
Right. And you're going to go over these a little bit?
I am not.
You're not. Okay. So when you talk about looking at houses, we do look for sale by owners, but we don't focus on the house itself. More if they're willing to do our kind of terms and our kind of deals.
The house is just the beacon of the person you want to talk to.
Right. So you can look at the house, but don't say, do you like it or not like it? It doesn't matter. If they're not going to sell it.
I don't even look at the houses. But like when I go on Flakebook and I go looking and you saw me do it, I don't even, all I look at is like, is it the neighborhood I want to be in? So Hamden, Connecticut. I click on it. I don't even absorb what the front of the house looks like. I just send them a message. Would you be willing to lease your house for a year or two without the landlord obligations and then sell it to me? That wouldn't work for you, would it? And if they respond, then I push forward and I look at the house like way into my system.
Yeah.
The system is you have an opening call, which is where you pre-screen prospects and suspects. And what's a prospect for us? Someone that's willing to take monthly payments until we can pay them off or take some sort of a discount. That's a prospect. If they're willing to hear more about that, we move them to a closing call. The closing call is where we make offers, where we talk to them, where we find out what their problems are, and we solve their problems. And if all that happens and they still say yes, we move them into a deal meeting. In the deal meeting is where we qualify the house and do the paperwork. See where we're looking at the houses on the chain? It's at the end.
Yeah.
I don't care about the house until I know I have a motivated seller.
What's the difference? Somebody's living in it now. Somebody else would live in it. You're not living in it. It's a house. Well, you care what it is, unless it's a complete rehab job and it's another story. But that if that happens, that's another story. So
the point is the house could be perfect, but if the seller's not willing to sell it on my terms, then what's the sense in even talking about it? Why am I going to go out and look at a house and spend an hour looking at a house and doing all this stuff when
he won't sell it to you?
He won't sell it to you.
Right. All right. So that's clarified because that's the right way to look for houses.
Yeah.
Okay.
So number 3, your ratio of study and application is way off. Study should be about 10 or 15% at most.
Yeah.
The rest should be you doing or applying at this stage. Right? Number 4.
I use a system in my teaching. I teach somebody a little bit of information, whatever it is, real estate, guitar. People are asking me questions now, and then they do it. Then you learn one other thing, and then you do it. That's the way it's supposed to be.
Right. Number 4, you spend 40 to 50% of your real estate entrepreneur time looking for or setting up systems you think you need. I fall into this category.
I wasn't going to say it out loud.
Number 5, which is why I put it there. Number 5, you think you can automate the lead hunting process and are working on that instead of actually speaking to sellers. It's another one I fall into.
Well, in your behalf, you are at the top of the food chain, so somebody has to do the research how things can go. But still, you're in the business, so I know you have to stop once in a while and just go back to work. You know what the difference is? Our friend Ron LeGrand, wherever he got it from, working on the business or in the business. So you being high in the food chain, you have to work on the business. But if you don't work in the business, you don't get anywhere. And vice versa. If you're always working in your business like a grunt, hitting the phone, hitting the street, you never step back and organize a little bit. That's a mistake too. So there's a balance there somewhere.
Point well taken. All right, number 6. You have actually spoken to a bunch of sellers but never really found a prospect or someone who will be interested in a creative real estate deal. This is according to you. This isn't really true. This is what you think. So you never really get the person interested in doing a creative real estate deal.
So is that because we're not talking to them correctly?
Offer awkward.
Okay. Because we know we have to go through a certain amount of people to find the guy, but you have to do it right. So you find the guy, not slide
Well,
past him.
you went past them because you're offer awkward and didn't recognize that he was there, and you went right past. It's in sales. It's called talking past the close.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Number 7, you have been at this real estate game for at least or more than 12 months and haven't been near or close to a deal or have done a deal.
Mm.
I wanted to put 6 months, but I thought that was being a little bit
Yeah.
rambunctious.
Yeah.
But a year for sure. If you've been at this for a year and you haven't done a deal, you are offer awkward.
Yeah. Even a weak deal is better than no deal.
Number 8, you buy training materials before you have absorbed and tested the last thing you bought to see if it really works. Or you misunderstood it and didn't do anything about it, or didn't even know you misunderstood it. You blamed it on the speaker.
Yeah. That happens a lot as an instructor or teacher of several courses, types of information. That happens a lot. Like, oh, this guy did something stupid here. Look, he's wrong. Wait, whoa. You read it again and you clear it up for people. Go, oh, I get it now. So, I mean, the freaking guy wrote a book. Maybe he's a little more knowledgeable than you who are just reading the damn book. So step back, take a minute, read it a few times, back up a little, get the dictionary, work on it. And maybe he does have a point. And not always. Sometimes I found mistakes. It's okay. But don't dismiss the author of the book that fast, reader of the book.
Right. Yeah. Basically, people accuse those of what they themselves are doing. I remember one time somebody taught me when you point your finger like this.
Yeah.
There's one finger pointing to you, but there's one finger pointing to them and 3 pointing to you.
Yeah, that's a good one. Ooh.
Right. So there you go.
Yeah.
All right. Number 9. You've set up marketing. It worked to some degree. You got some calls, and you didn't call them back.
That's really bad. I can understand someone being a little nervous calling somebody cold off of Facebook or Craigslist or something, but come on, when they call you, they're interested. The girl said, would you like to date Johnny? And you run under the bleachers. So, like, don't do that. Jeez.
So basically, it's not Johnny we're talking about. It's Pete we're talking about.
Yeah, but I was trying to cover that up.
That was good, Pete.
All she wanted was a dance, but geez, I was 14. Leave me alone.
Number 10. You've decided to stop spending money until you make some from real estate activity. Let me give that to you again. You decide to stop spending money until you make some from real estate activity. In other words, you shut yourself off from your training materials or anything else. I'm not spending any more money until I make money from real estate, which, by the way, is most often provoked from a spouse or another half or somebody else. Okay? But
oh yeah, boy. You know, it's true. It's true. We both have had that happen so many times. Every time we do a deal, when I like buy a house or something, Mary goes, "Are we gonna get the money back we put into?" Like, would you calm down? Of course we are.
Johnny says he's not afraid to dance.
Okay. Next time she asks me, I'll send him your way. I offered to dance with my wife nowadays. She says no. What the heck?
Yeah.
She can't win. So,
right.
is that 10?
Off the wife and dancing routine with Peter.
Yeah.
If any of these are a hint of your behavior, or you feel describe you at any moment that I was talking, then this next section is going to rock your world and unstick your entire real estate career. But I think before we do that, we should seize the moment and hear what Peter's score was.
I have one questionable.
What? Oh, so you're offer awkward.
No, I only had one bad.
That's all it takes.
One questionable? I have 9 going in my favor. Wait a minute. Is this a test where you get one wrong and you're out?
Yep.
Oh, you're brutal. You had 2 wrong.
Yeah, I didn't say I was a genius.
But you're not offer awkward. Oh, well, you're okay doing offers. Folks, between you and I and Bill and 300 other people, Bill does get so busy working on the business, he forgets to make the calls and say, Bill, let's go back to the old days when we actually called people sometimes.
Oh, wait a second. Let me defend myself here, okay?
Go ahead.
Let me defend myself. All right, so let me see if I get this, because I get this a lot lately. Like, what do you do? All right, well, first of all, I have an acquisition manager that I'm training, and I have 3 VAs, soon to be a 4th. So I run all those VAs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then right now I have 3 or 4 deals I'm juggling. There are things like the other day I had to go out and put a sump pump in a house.
Mm-hmm.
I have a deal that I'm working on right now where we're negotiating putting a drywall in, but the ground is frozen. So it's like I talk to my lawyer, I talk to my realtors, I do this almost daily. Then I have a coaching group in the United States. Now I just opened up another coaching group in Israel, which whether you want to believe it or not, sometimes that takes my time because I'm answering WhatsApps or I'm answering questions. Okay. Then I got to do the podcast. This podcast takes me 3 to 5 hours a week to do. Right. Mm-hmm. Then I have my whole online business. I answer support tickets, 3, 5, 8 support tickets a day. Right. You still with me?
Oh yeah.
Plus I run my whole online business. I do all this by myself. I run my whole online business, which is creating courses and writing copy. I write, Peter, somewhere around 20,000 words a week in between part-time. I write between the podcast. I have a couple books coming out. I write somewhere around 20,000 words a week.
Good job.
And Desiree's in there pitching, and you have a wife and a family. How do you do it, Paul? I'll tell you how I do it. It's time blocking. Everything has its time. Everything has its place. I do what I'm doing while I'm doing it. Where most people, and I'm not saying I'm better or worse than anybody else. I'm just a time management. I'll tell you, 2020 was a huge year for me. It's a huge year for me, and I'll tell you the reason why. Because I took the entire year and just got all of what we call the developed traffic out of my life. In other words, Emma would come to me and say, Dad, this isn't working. And she would develop this extra traffic for me where I don't need to do it. She should have done it.
Yeah.
In other words, I'm careful on what traffic I get on my communication. Right.
Yep.
The second thing is the biggest thing is, John says, where do you find time for impulse decisions? My entire life is impulse decisions.
Bill, don't do that. Let's finish this one first. Bill, come back.
Anyways, the biggest thing that I did in 2020 is I knocked out all the noise.
Yeah.
Right? So the noise. I don't allow somebody to come in my office and talk about a baseball game. That's why I go, and probably 3 or 4 nights a week, my wife will be doing something. And 8:30, like last night, I left here. I went to my daughter's house to see my grandson and have dinner with him. I was there for about an hour and 15 minutes, right, which is very unusual for me because I don't do that in the middle of the week. I jump to my car and I go to the cigar shop. That's why I go to the cigar shop, because that's where I talk about baseball and politics. One of the guys was waiting for me last night. He's like, I'm so glad you're here. I'm like, I need to talk about all this political stuff, and you're the guy I need to talk to, because I give him a run for his money.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not bragging about that either, but I left there at midnight. Right. Which is unusual for me. But that's where I go to do that kind of stuff. It's not about cigars. It's about my buddies and having conversations and that, because otherwise I'm working. I'm like, when I'm writing. I don't talk to anybody. When I'm making offers, I'm making offers. I talk to the seller. That's it. I do what I'm doing while I'm doing it. That's how I do it. And I don't know how I got off on that tangent. That was totally not expected. So
that's my fault.
and I'm sure I left a bunch of stuff out. I mean, I could show you my to-do list that I write every single day is one full page in a notebook.
Yeah.
I mean, you've been waiting for me to fill out financial paperwork so we can go buy a 6-family house for 3 weeks, a month now. And I want to talk to you about that. But it's like, you would think that would be the first thing I would want to do.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, I've learned to relax with you because things work out. I do my thing, you do your thing, we do our thing. It works out fine.
All right. So from this point forward, listen, take notes. Because I am going to go over something you have never heard before. But it's going to make sense.
Okay, let's hear it, Bill.
You are doing offer hunting backwards. If you're offer awkward, you are doing offer hunting backwards. And it's no wonder why you're stuck. Here's why. A few podcasts ago, I explained how everything in life has a sequence. And the backwards part I'm speaking of is trying to give sellers solutions before knowing the problem. Or plain old guessing. You're poking at it. You're like, with a blindfold on, trying to hit the piñata, and you're not even near the tree. Right?
Sure. We wind up like, oh, blah, 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 blah. I do this, we can do that, and we blah, blah, blah. You know, making all these wonderful suggestions, but, you know, it's like the waitress coming up to you. Oh, we have this. You ever get that, like, when they start telling you all this crap, our specials are like, no. I just want a hamburger. And we got this, we got that, we got that, we got that. Honey, let's leave. So.
All right. So everything has a sequence in life. Just like thirsty comes before drink, hungry comes before eating, sex becomes before baby, or comes before baby, right?
It's hard to get that one backwards.
That's right. Problems come before solutions. So if you are just studying solutions before studying the problems of sellers, here is what happens. Desiree says, about the waitress scenario.
Hey, I was.
You struck a chord with her on that one.
Well, I was a waitress too, so it's okay.
She said she listened to the podcast in the 30s.
What?
Never mind. All right. Problems come before solutions. So if you're studying just the solutions before the problems of the sellers, here is what is happening. Number one, you are trying to work on the sociological portion of the deal instead of the psychological part of the deal. So let me explain.
Yeah. What's the difference?
Sociological is defined like this: concerning the development, structure, and function of human society. So it's concerning the development, structure, and function of human society.
So that sounds like a much broader view, more generalized view.
Right.
Okay.
So you're trying to pay attention to the function. How do people function? Right? This is gonna come together in a second. Just lay low for a second, right?
Yeah.
Or in this case, where we're making offers, concerning the development of structure and functioning part of making offers to sellers. So the sociological definition I'm using here is, or in this case, concerning the development, structure, and functioning part of making offers to sellers. This is where you are seeking scripts, how-tos, and being perfect so you can do the whole deal in the first hour or first phone call of meeting the seller.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to get all your education, all this experience, my 20 years worth of experience, all melted into your mind so it's nice and neat and nice and clear, and you can answer any question that comes up with the seller and close them within the first hour. Because you're the professional. You don't want to be an amateur. Okay? Now, let's look at psychological.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a definition of psychological. An afflecting or arising in the mind.
But what was the first word? I didn't catch it.
Afflecting.
Afflecting.
Yeah.
I don't know that one.
Okay, so it's like
coming from?
No, afflecting is like it's kind of like an effect.
Okay.
Right? Okay. So it's afflecting or arising in the mind.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just go look it up so that you're clear.
Hey, sorry. I just haven't heard that one. You got me on one, Bill.
I just want to make sure I'm not making it up.
Sure. But I know what you're talking about, too, because, I know the scenario. I think what you're getting at is, while you're looking that up, I'll look at some information on a deal, and I'll think I know what's going on. Oh, this guy's divorced, and he's got this house, so he probably wants to sell it because he has the other house. And you think you know what's going on. And before you're even asked too many questions, you think you have a great answer for the guy. And you're kind of generally looking it over instead of being more psychological about it.
So this is even better than what I thought, because afflecting means, and I got that, by the way, deeply distressed or painful.
Ew.
Afflecting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the definition of psychological, let me go back here. So the definition of psychological is of afflecting. So that means it's painful or distressing, or arising in the mind.
Mm-hmm.
So it happens in the mind. Related to the mental and emotional state of a person.
Mm.
So it's of a afflecting or arising in the mind related to the mental and emotional state of a person. In other words, having a mental rather than physical cause.
Mm-hmm.
It's all backwards for most rookies.
Yeah.
The difference is that most newbies or investors not doing enough deals are trying to solve the physical causes of the deal.
Yeah.
And ignoring or not knowing, maybe often skipping the mental cause. As I've said many times before, Peter, I've been to hundreds of closings, and not physically because I don't go to closings, but I've structured and orchestrated these closings. So I've been part of hundreds of closings, and never, ever once have saw a house sign the documents.
Mm-hmm.
It's always a person, and it's always emotion driven to do the deal. It's always emotion driven them and being at the closing.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's as simple as money motivated, it still has an emotion like happy or exhilaration. Yay, big check.
Mm-hmm.
It's emotion driven.
Yeah.
Okay. Motivation, by the way, Peter, is psychological, not sociological.
Mm-hmm.
Motivation is manufactured in the mind, not the physical universe.
It sounds like a very personal thing. Each guy, each person, very, very personal.
Mm-hmm. Here's an example. You and I could be in a car accident together.
Mm-hmm.
Have similar injuries physically.
Yeah.
Then recover. But mentally, I can't get over it.
Right.
Like, I never want to ride in the passenger seat of a car again.
Mm-hmm.
I won't go over bridges in a car.
Yeah.
Right? Definitely won't get in a 2-door car.
Right.
No way. This is all in your subconscious mind, by the way. These are like running your decisions. It's not like a conscious decision like, oh, I don't want to get in a 2-door car. No, this is very similar to, no. Because your mind is set up, as we spoke a few podcasts ago, is to protect you. So your mind is telling you subconsciously, last time we got in a 2-door car, we almost died. Why are you going to get in another 2-door car?
Yeah.
So subconsciously, it's telling you that.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, I knew a guy, a friend of mine, his dad had some accident when he was young and never drove a car again. Never drove a car for years and years and years and years and never got it, never drove one. Nope. We're not making this stuff up.
See how this is psychological is different for both of us? See how the psychology is different?
Sure.
Right?
Different reactions.
So this is where it's important that you figure this out with your seller. Okay. All right. Enough of that. We had to jump in the profound pool. So does this make sense to you? So
yeah.
So a lot of newbie investors are studying the human. Let me go back to that. Like the sociological aspect of the deal. Like things that are concerning to the development of the deal. Like why did they go into foreclosure?
Right.
Why do they have a tax lien? They think that they're problem solving with that. Like, why did that happen, right?
You know what that makes me think? That's talking about circumstances, right? This happened, that happened. But for everything that I just got an idea. For everything that somebody tells you that happened, wonder how it made them feel.
Exactly.
Or ask them, well, gee, how did that make you feel?
Or what decision did they make when that happened?
Yeah, because wouldn't it be a sequence? Something happens, you feel a certain way, then you make a decision on it, right?
Yeah.
Something like that kind of a sequence.
And now they're operating off of that decision in your transaction.
And they're stuck on it too, aren't they?
And you don't even know it. Often they don't even know it. It happened without them even knowing it sometimes.
Yeah, it's just a subconscious knee-jerk reaction. And it doesn't go away. It sits. If you don't look at it, it sits there.
Okay. So enough of that. Here's what I want to do now. I want to give you a list of phrases that will act like a crystal ball or like a microscope on where sellers are located mentally, psychologically. Okay. Which, by the way, this is the exact reason I've been pushing really hard the reluctant buyer strategy. I think the most crucial and important time in a creative real estate investor's career is this exact moment that we're talking about. Offer awkward. As I have I can't say the word. In a lot of abundance. Oh my God, listen to me. Prolifically, thank you.
I wasn't sure where you're going.
Little bit. Okay. Spoken about, so I've talked about this a whole lot in podcast number 229 to this podcast, which is podcast 236, is having rookies go into houses and study the seller's responses, emotions, reactions to questions, how they deal with house problems, listen to some of their solutions that they've tried, and so on, while not trying to buy the house. This takes all the pressure off of the rookie. What you'll soon realize is that these sellers will start to fall in 12 to 15 different buckets, but there's not more than that.
Really? 12 to 15 seller buckets?
Yeah. And there's not more than that. Not normally. So they all have their own psychological responses, but they're actually common.
Now, you're not talking about that today, are you?
No.
Could we do one on that sometime?
Yeah.
Is that a thing? Because I've never heard you say that before. That could be helpful.
Yeah.
Well, think about it, because it just sounds. I've never heard you say that, so that sounds kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Because I think part of what we do is we don't understand well enough, and we don't know what we're looking at. So if we could see things in different buckets, maybe it'd help us just deal with it better.
Right.
Anyways,
so
that's interesting.
I just want to back up for a second because I'm going to want to give you another example. So my wife had cancer.
Yeah.
Okay. And it was pretty rough for us for a while, for about a year.
Yeah.
Okay. You were there. You saw it.
Yeah.
Okay. This is why I bring this up, because here it is a year and a half or two, like about 2 years later. And how does she act after that situation? What is she like? How does she live?
Mm.
What responses does she have to certain things? And you see her, it's like she never had it. She just totally forgot about it. Not forgot about it, but it's like no problem.
Yeah, she bounced back. I love her. She's such a happy person, a positive person, and she went through that, and it's like she's pretty much back, pretty much.
Now, my mother, about 10 years ago, had ovarian cancer and was operated on.
Yeah.
And to this day has not let me forget about it. Now, she didn't almost die. She didn't almost die, but she thought she was gonna. And to this day, she doesn't let me forget about it. She's a cancer survivor.
Yeah.
So both had cancer, but how do they respond to that situation?
Yeah.
Is this making sense?
Sure.
So the difference between the sociological and the psychological is the difference between how does the group act, how does the individual act.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're studying how the group acts, like studying how sellers want to get offers, you're missing it because they're individual.
Yep.
You got 3 kids, say, what do you guys want for dinner? Dinner is the sociological portion, and one kid says, I want pizza. The second says macaroni and cheese. The third one says, I want hot dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Still dinner.
Yep.
Right?
But it's very specific what you're talking about. Be very specific with people. Get the actual situation.
The details.
Bill, do you think there's an unwillingness or a problem with willingness for people to do this, to like ask the questions and listen?
This is the reason why I'm doing this, because it's just not understood.
Mm-hmm.
Psychology is like a gray area. Man doesn't understand man. Man doesn't understand himself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not favorable of psychologists. I mean, a psychologist has the viewpoint that somebody has a different reality than everybody else, so they take them off of the out of the public and put them into an institution.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's the thing: if a psychologist was really good, then after 3 months or 6 months or 12 months, they would release that person and he would be normal like the rest of us.
Mm-hmm.
Often they're in worse condition because of the isolation and the electric shock and the drugs, and they're in worse condition.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to take a medicine, like if I get the flu, I take a medicine for 10 days, flu disappears.
Yep.
Why do people take medicines for 20 years? I don't get that part. It's masking the problem. That's why. Problem is not eradicated.
Yeah. It's not even discovered. They don't even know what it is.
So this is kind of what I'm talking about. And I'm getting really profound here, and I shouldn't be doing this. But this is like, if you want to know what the problem is, you want to know what the disease is, you have to evaluate the symptoms, and definition of solution is problem goes away. Mm-hmm. So if I go to the doctor's office and he tells me I have the flu and he says, here's your prescription, and I take the prescription 2 or 3 times a day like he tells me, at the end of so many days, flu goes away. doctor did a good job.
Yep.
Right? If you go to the doctor and he tells you, oh, you have this chronic whatever, and you need to take this pill for the rest of your life once a day, that's not solving the problem. That's prolonging the problem. Which, by the way, we're talking about big pharma right now, which we had this conversation at the cigar shop a few nights ago, and the guys were blown away when I made this comment. Do you know what keeps big pharma alive? Do you know why big pharma is so big? Side effects. You take a pill, you get a side effect. You get another pill. Now you're taking 5 pills because you have 30 different side effects from the first pill.
Yeah.
That's what keeps big pharma alive. Side effects.
I saw a sign like that at my doctor's office a couple of years ago. It actually listed a particular drug and its side effect, and then a drug for that side effect, and that side effect, and a drug for that side effect. It was in my doctor's office. You're not making this stuff up. Yeah, no, I've seen it. So, you're not making it up.
So we're not here. So my point is if you're giving an offer, you shouldn't have a side effect.
Yeah.
You should have a solution. Definition of solution is problem goes away. So when you're talking to a seller, if there's a side effect like an objection or an obstacle, then you're kind of going down the wrong path. Because it created a side effect, just like taking a pill and creating a side effect.
Yep.
Right?
That's right.
So the reason why is because you're probably doing sociologically instead of physiologically. Instead of psychologically.
Right.
It's not necessarily the problem. It's not that the person's in foreclosure. Right now, more than anything else, because we're in the beginning of 2021, right now, more than anybody, any time ever in history, I could make this comment and it could be completely, utterly understood. We just went through 10 months of a pandemic. Is it possible there's people out there that lost their jobs, especially in the restaurant business and those kind of businesses, that lost their job and fell behind in their mortgage?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a lot. I'm gonna go on a limb here. I'm gonna walk the plank and say, okay, I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of people that were put in that position because of the global pandemic. Global means the entire earth.
Yeah.
Right. And they lost their job and they got into financial despair. Now they could have had an 800 credit score, but they couldn't pay. They didn't have the money.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a sociological problem.
Right.
Human behavior as a whole. How does the seller that I'm talking to that had that foreclosure emotionally respond to that? Oh my God, I can't have this. I have an 800 credit score. No can do. I have to solve this immediately because. Or my credit score is kind of shitty anyways. You know what? I'll do that. So the first guy is saying, I need to have all cash. I need it out of my name because I don't want to ruin my credit score.
Right.
That's a psychology viewpoint. It's how he feels. It's how he's reacting, how he's responding to the foreclosure. The other guy's like, you know what? My credit's not that good anyways. Yeah, I'll let you take over the payments. I'll let you put the mortgage in your name, and I'll let you put the deed in your name. Keep the mortgage in mine. Same scenario, 2 different responses.
Right.
So, in the final minutes we have together today, I wanted to give you our listeners some tested and proven phrases to extract the seller's exact psychological stance pertaining to the house you wish to purchase, and how you can lay out proposed offers and win over the seller's confidence that you fully understand their problem and have a perfect solution.
Cool.
So
There
I
you
would
go.
grab some paper and pencil and I would write some of these down. Some of them, you've heard these before, but I'm going to give you a list of them now so that we don't have to like talk about these forever and ever, because we can if you have questions. But
Well, we
so
might need to be reminded once in a while.
yeah. So some of these are too simple. Like, for example, the first one, which I can tell you is a psychological question for sure. The most basic of basic. Do you
Yeah.
have a house for sale? Do you have a house for sale? All right. So the house is standing there at 123 Main Street. Does the house know any difference between it's being sold and not being sold?
Nope.
So who really knows that the house is being sold and why?
Yeah.
It's a psychological reaction or emotion being acted upon. Which when we ask which is one of the questions, I think I have to look at it, but what happened in your life? This is one of your questions. Look back in your life and think about when you made the decision to actually sell the house. What happened right before that?
Yeah.
Right? And there's some incident or some event or something that happened that caused the owner, which was, by the way, emotionally, psychological, that caused the owner to say, that's it, I'm selling, I'm done.
You know, sometimes you ask somebody why is selling the house. It's a little blunt.
Mhm.
You know, they may not want to talk to you about it, but if you
Well,
ask them,
it doesn't sneak in and give you the answer. The subconscious mind will reject that.
yeah, they'll give you some kind of pat answer. But if you ask them when did you decide to sell, and they go back in their own mind, they go, well, 3 months ago I decided to sell, and they're already there in their mind and they're past. You ask them, gee, what happened? They start telling you. You know, it's like you're being very psychological. Maybe it even help them, you know, to get it out, because
That's
something
why I
troublesome
this is
happened.
why I called a few podcasts to call therapy.
Yeah.
Being in therapy.
Yeah.
Right? All right, here's another question. What were you expecting to get from this call?
Mm-hmm.
So they called you, left a message. You call them back, right? You say, do you have a house for sale? No. Okay, well, what were you expecting from this call?
Yeah, because they don't always have. You have to ask the question. They don't always have a house when they call. Just because they call doesn't mean. Yeah, you got to.
So
ask.
let me give you some answers. Okay, some answers that I've heard. Well, I'm calling for my mother. She's kind of old, and she wanted me to check it out.
Yep.
Okay, good. That's one. Well, I'm the realtor, and I represent the seller. They wanted me to call you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, the famous one. Everything's for sale. So what's your price?
Yeah.
Right. What were you expecting to get from this call?
Yeah. Because you could guess for the entire call, or you could just ask them, huh?
Mm-hmm. How about this one? Was I able to help you with that today?
Mm.
So my mother wants to sell the house and wanted me to call and get the information. So you talk to her for a few minutes, or him for a few, we'll say her for a few minutes.
Mm.
Then when you're all done, you say, was I able to help you today?
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Well, if you didn't help them, you didn't ask the right questions. So you could ask. You could just keep talking to somebody. Like the waitress comes over, is everything okay? You got to tell her there's no damn salt on the table. Oops, sorry, didn't notice. You'll find out, hopefully.
You want to render yourself as helpful, as a needed thing, just like the waitress. Oh, I want another glass of iced tea. Oh, sorry, I didn't notice. They don't say that. They just walk off. They don't even acknowledge you. They walk off and bring back the iced tea. Mm-hmm. Right? How does the waitress get her tip?
Based on how helpful she was.
Okay. So how are you going to get equity in any house?
Being helpful.
So why not ask, was I able to help you with that today?
Yeah, if they say no, so, oh, sorry, what do you need? Just ask them.
Right.
Okay. And don't be afraid to ask.
So that's right. So when they say my problem is blah, right? You say, how do you think I could help you with blah?
What? How come? Why don't we just say, oh, I can do this. I can do that. I can do this. I can do that. Why don't we do that instead?
because you're going to work off of their acceptance level, what they want.
Yeah.
So it's the famous thing. I've been listening to some Dan Kennedy tapes, and he just brought him and Ron LeGrand are doing a seminar, and this is like 20 years old or 25 years old. The seminar. It's actually very helpful, but it's pretty funny too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dan Kennedy, and he didn't do this. Somebody else did this, but the example is this. It's a marketing thing. Somebody goes into a hardware store and he wants to buy a drill bit. What does he want? A hole.
Yeah. No, if he wants a drill bit, why? He needs to make a hole. Okay.
Yeah, he wants a hole. So this is along that line. So was I able to help you today? What do you think I can help you with? So that's like asking them, what do you want the drill bit for?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Here's another one. If you were to sell me your house today, what were you expecting to walk away with?
Mm-hmm.
I just want debt relief. I don't want to make the payment anymore.
Mm.
Well, I was looking for $30,000. Oh, I'm looking to pay off my daughter's student loan.
Oh, good. How much is it?
Right.
Yeah, we had a lady like that once. She wound up just keep borrowing and borrowing and borrowing, and she had a car bill. She had credit cards, and we were trying to structure the deal for her to make those payments or do something like that. But we knew what it was, at least. You know, it wasn't just a number. It was debt that was bothering.
Here's the thing. People think that their house's equity is a bank savings account.
That's right.
Right? And she did. She was trying to use her savings account to wipe out all the debt.
Yep.
Here's another one. Once we close on your property, what were you planning to do with the money?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to tell you right now, that question is laser sharp for what the problem is that they're trying to solve. That's the exact human emotion and reaction you're looking for, is that in that question.
Yeah. It's a good one.
Once we closed on your property, what were you planning on doing with the money? And a lot of students won't ask that because they're uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Should I keep going? Am I doing okay?
Oh, no, these are great.
Okay. If you used a realtor, do you know how much it would cost to do that?
Mm-hmm.
Which is the cost to sell. And did you know I don't charge those same fees? It's a comparison question.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Right? I think last week, I forgot which one it was, but it was like, choose your enemy or something like that. I forgot which one it was, but it was one of those. Now, ready for this? We're getting further and further down the list. These questions get better.
Oh, cool.
These are just common questions that I would ask, right?
Mm-hmm.
What would happen if you don't sell your house the way you expect to?
Mm.
Which, by the way, Peter, I want to caution people. I'm saying these slow because these are verbatim questions. These are not questions you should ask or add words to or change, because we've already done that for thousands of people. These questions are precise. You do not change them. You ask them the way I'm saying these questions. Don't change them.
That's right.
You won't get a result the way we did.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you use, oh no, that's the wrong one. What would happen if you don't sell your house the way you expect to?
I like how that ends, the way you expect to. I like that.
It gets some pretty good answers.
Yeah, because I don't think it's that often people get to do things the way they really expect to. You know, the rest of the world isn't just asking you what you want and just handing it to you. Things go a little different. So you probably find out what they're worried about or what they would be willing to do. You'll find out something.
How about this one? If you sold your house tomorrow, what would happen? or change in your life?
Mm.
If you sold your house tomorrow, what would happen or what would change in your life? Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Another one. Would things get better if I could buy your house soon?
Mm-hmm.
Now, my intention here is to give you these questions, which I think are extremely valuable. These are script questions. What I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to give this list of questions so that a rookie can write them down, put them on a clipboard, and bring them into a house, and they could, while they're studying their seller, not even trying to buy a house, ask these questions and watch the responses.
Mm-hmm.
No different than my description, which I want to read that to you again. Okay? You ready?
Yeah.
So this is the description of the podcast. Have you ever noticed after watching a good action movie, you can remember the fight scenes and in many cases mimic what you saw? That's because outside of being in a real fight, this is the best way to learn fighting. You're not doing a real deal.
Mm.
You're not. Yeah. This is like watching it on a movie. You're not doing a real deal. This is just observing it like on a movie theater.
Mm-hmm. Like rehearsal.
Right?
Rehearsal.
That's exactly right.
Rehearsal.
This is the best way to learn fighting or defend yourself, by watching the scenario unfold right in front of you on the big screen in live action. It is very easy for your mind to absorb these scenarios and then mimic what you saw.
Mm.
So this means for best learning, rookies need close combat training without getting their asses kicked and put in a hospital. You're not trying to buy this house. You're there to learn. Write these questions I'm giving you down and just say them. Read them to the person like you're doing a survey. So find a question that pertains to the conversation that's relevant and ask the question, and then notice the response. Notice the emotional response. Notice the answers. Write them down. Bring them back. Send a support ticket and say, they said this, they said that.
Yeah, I was thinking, how do you use them and when do you use them? And that made sense because you don't have to worry about when you're going to say them. In the conversation, something will come up and you'll be wondering, gee, what do I say now? And you'll look, one of those will fit perfectly.
Right.
You know, they'll just make sense. Just use it when it makes sense. Don't just be like blah, blah, blah at the beginning of the conversation. Listen, go get in there, just get in communication. It'll make sense.
And after you do this a few times, you'll start to notice this is not that hard. You'll start to, because once you ask the question, you see the response, you'll remember that. So now you have a story that you'll associate that question with, and you'll always be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no pressure. You're not trying to buy the house. They don't know that, but you're not trying to buy the house.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm giving this away for free instead of charging you for this or making you pay for it, because I believe in this so much. You need to go out and you need to talk to sellers. You need to be a reluctant buyer and study the solution. Don't study the solutions. Stop studying the solutions. Study the problems.
Mm.
Another question.
You can't solve it unless you have the exact correct problem in anything.
Here's another question. I'm say that again. Are you tired of things being the way they are right now?
Mm.
Are you tired of the things being the way they are right now?
Mm-hmm.
Another one. How important is selling your house to handle blah? How important is it to sell your house and handle the divorce?
Mm-hmm.
How important is it to you and your brothers and sisters that you sell the house to handle the probate. How important, now pay attention to this. This is where this question came from, and you hear this all the time.
Yeah.
How important is it for you to sell this house to buy your new house? Do you need the money from this house to buy that house?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Because I'm going to tell you right now, if the person has decided they need the equity out of this house to put as a down payment on the other house, they're looking for a cash offer. And I can't tell you how many coaching clients I ask that question up front. I'll ask that question to the coaching client. Did you ask them? And they're like, oh, I didn't think of that.
Mm. Yep.
How important is the sale of this house affect the buying of your new house?
Sure.
And some people will just say, "Oh no, I don't need the money. I mean, I want it, but it's not gonna stop me. I've already got the loan. I've already got the money. I've already put the deposit in. I'm already done."
Yep.
Difference is whether or not his or her acceptance level of you proposing a terms deal will be high or low. There's a threshold there.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Is this making sense?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, if you don't know that, because I've talked to people like that, same thing. They need the money, so they need the equity, they need the cash. And others say they don't need it. Just because I might or another listener might doesn't mean everybody might. They might be fine, might have plenty of money and it's sitting there. And they can I think of it as them turning the house into an investment where they can make more money just by waiting and letting you do your thing and just make some more money. What's wrong with that? If they're not in a hurry, would you like to make more money?
I have a guy I smoke cigars with. I think he's worth, I don't know, $8 or $10 million. He's a multimillionaire.
Uh-huh.
Doesn't have to work, nothing like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Says all the time money means nothing to him. So you would think, well, yeah, because he's got $10 million bucks.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is that statement goes a lot deeper than what you first think. Right?
Yeah.
His priorities are different than most because money is not a deciding factor for him.
Mm.
And he tells me even before he had his money, it was like that.
Well, I'm thinking that's probably why he has his money.
Right.
Because he had a certain attitude in the beginning.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I'm in staff meetings, which I don't do much anymore, but I would come up with this idea and somebody would bring up, well, how are we going to fund it? I'm like, I have no idea. How are we going to buy a house? I don't know. I don't have the money. But I know this much. I know that money doesn't find deals. Deals find money.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So when you have a rockin' deal, you'll get the money.
Yep.
Right? Here's another one. Explain to me how things would get better if you sold the house or this house. Explain to me how things would get better if you sold this house.
That'll tell you a lot.
Do you need to be a genius or do you need a Yale or Harvard education on offer making to read these questions? This will take the offer awkwardness out of the rookie. If he just reads some of these questions and doesn't try to buy the house, just observes 2, 3, 5. You could do all this within a 30-day period. And it doesn't cost you $30 or $40 or $50,000 with a coach and none of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, if you record yourself asking these questions and listen to the responses, you will learn a lot more when you leave the room than when you were in the room. Because you'll be like, he told me this and I didn't hear him or her. Or this happened, I should have asked this other question.
Boy, that hindsight, huh?
But he'll never forget it, and you'll always do a much better job next time because you will coach yourself better than I could ever even think of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? All right.
So you know what I'm thinking here?
Mm-hmm.
You know, they say knowledge is power.
Mm-hmm.
And rookies don't feel that powerful because they're not always sure what we're doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you find out this information from the seller, what they really care about, what's worrying them, what they're really trying to accomplish, that knowledge is really powerful. And it's not to take advantage of them. It's the power to do the right thing to help them. So he gets a deal, you get a deal, and everybody gets to move on.
So I agree with all that except for one thing.
What?
You're not doing anything. All you're doing is proposing that you could do.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the biggest mistakes a lot of rookies make. They think once they make an offer, they're bound to it. They're going to get nailed to the cross if they don't do it.
Yeah, I'm not even worried about that. I get your point. You're right. But just
offers are a proposal. Will you marry me?
Yeah. Yes or no?
I mean, let's talk about that for 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just pick a story. Grant Cardone.
Yeah.
Listen to his story, his personal story. I think I don't remember the story, but he went on for years proposing to his wife. She did not say yes the first time. Yeah.
I never heard that.
I don't remember which book it is. I think it's either in 10X or Sold or Be Sold. He tells his story. I think it's Sell or Be Sold. He tells his story about how, because he was a drug addict. He was a crazy guy, and he decided he wanted to marry this girl, and it was I think years before she said yes.
Wow.
So there's another perspective on proposals.
Boy, that's commitment.
Yeah. I shouldn't put this up here, but
and she's a wonderful person. She's a good one.
Desiree says you must be tired of us not listening, Bill. And she says, knowledge applied is power. That's correct.
Desiree, it gives Bill something to say every Thursday morning.
Yeah, evidently. Let's keep moving with our list. We okay?
Yeah.
We're good on time, so we're all right. Now, I think they start getting meaty from this point on.
That wasn't meaty?
No.
All right.
I think they get better. Right? Here
more
we go.
More meat, less fat?
Yeah.
Getting more lean here. Go for it.
Have you done anything to try to sell the house so far? Have you done anything to try to sell the house so far? Just get that list. Just get that list.
Yeah. So whether they tried nothing would tell you a lot, or they tried a lot of things would tell you a lot. But it'll tell you something. That's a good one.
Why I had it for sale by owner. Okay, did you advertise it? No. How many people came? None.
Yeah. If you're not sure what kind of question to ask, just ask, well, what happened? Then what happened?
What would you like me to do about it?
Oh.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay, but here's the thing. What you're going to find out, I lost my train of thought.
So you're asking him what he do about it, and he'll either tell you not much or a lot, and you'll find out a lot about what he's been doing. And the psychological aspect of that.
Oh, so so you're going to find out what humbled him.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, honey, I'm getting tired of this. Honey, I'm getting tired of this. Some guys come tomorrow.
My managers just gave this to me. I'm sick and tired of people making an appointment for me to go rent an apartment and they don't show up.
Oh. Yeah.
I left work early. I went over there and they didn't show up. Okay. What humbled them?
Yeah.
You use that. Oh, by the way, any one of these answers, if you write them down and you do like I talk about in past podcasts, where you write down all these things and then you tell them, well, I got all the information I need. I'm going to go talk to my partner, my mentor, or I'm going to go do my research and I'm going to come back in a day or two and I'm going to give you a proposal. Okay. What do you think your proposal is going to say? Well, one thing that you don't have to do, Mr. Seller, is make an appointment and not have somebody show up.
Mm-hmm.
That's over.
Mm-hmm.
It's not hard.
You're going to be showing them all the benefits of why they should do whatever we can do the best for them. But it's all benefits, which are the opposite of what they're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is making sense.
Okay. So let's do another one. Have you done anything to try to sell this house so far?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you don't use these in tandem, but they're good questions, right? Here's another one. How long have you been trying to sell this house and get rid of it? Or get rid of the problem? Get rid of the payments.
Mm-hmm.
Or get rid of the tenants, or anything like that.
Yeah.
Here's another one.
Stop.
How long?
Okay. No, it was small. Go ahead.
How long have you been trying to sell this house and get rid of it? That's the one I just did. How long have you been dealing with trying to sell your house?
Mm-hmm.
How long have you been dealing with trying to sell your house?
Yeah, and the question is, how long you've been trying to sell your house? How long have you been dealing with trying to sell your house? Because let's think about what dealing means. I'm dealing with this, and that's the annoying part. That's the part you need to know.
Putting up with is more like it. Putting up with. So let's just talk about the house that I'm just finished renovating.
Yeah.
That I bought.
Right.
The father paid the mortgage off because the father co-signed the mortgage and the son wasn't paying for it.
Mm-hmm.
So the wife was frantic. They have money, by the way. They're multimillionaires. The wife was frantic and is like, we co-signed the loan for $150,000. He's not paying for it. I'm not putting up with that showing up on my credit. Write a check and pay the mortgage, she said to him. I'm done.
Yeah.
Okay. Now they go through a period of a couple of years where the kids living in the house and obviously not paying them or not paying much or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Moves out of the house. They help him buy another house, which God knows why.
Jeez.
And he's supposed to sell this house and give back the money so that because he lent him $150,000 and he bought a $300,000 house. So the object of the game plan is the son moves to a $300,000 house, sells the other house, gets back to $150,000. The old man he's still got $150,000 in the kid, and he's like, and the kid's got a better house, so I'll do that.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
Kid moves into the new house and goes 2 years not getting the other house sold.
Mm-hmm.
House 6 vacant for 2 years.
Unbelievable.
You want to know why I bought that house? Because I know exactly the reason why. Because of these questions.
Mm-hmm.
Because the town, because it's not a city, the town put a blight order on the house. Mm-hmm. A blight order is the neighbors are complaining of the aestheticness of the house. In other words, the kid did not cut the grass or do any yard work for 2 years.
Yep.
So the neighbor is complaining. The town went there and gave a citation, aka a blight order, saying either you fix this in the time period we give you, or we are sending Parks and Rec over here, our crew, we're going to fix it, we're going to bill you, and we're going to take that bill and put it on the lien. We're going to lien the property. That's a blight order.
Wow. Is that really? I never heard it all the way through. So they fix it up, and they put the lien on the house. So, because they're not expecting to get paid, but they put the lien on. So when it does get sold, they get paid, and they can't sell it unless they pay.
Right.
Wow. That's
a blight order is like a tax lien. It doesn't get eliminated. The town comes first.
So the wife, was concerned about the mortgage not being paid. That's got to freak her out. Blight in the town, the embarrassment. Because that's good. They have a few $1 million.
I'm not done with the story.
Oh, it goes on. Okay, go ahead. Woo.
He's on the planning and zoning board.
Ah! That's right. That's right. You told me that.
Or was,
Oh,
anyways. He's not as active as
that
he
is
used to
so
be.
embarrassing. Now he's embarrassed. Oh no.
So now he's got his wife saying,
that damn house.
the blight order
That
makes
damn
him,
house
makes him look like he's not doing something. And he owns a
Oh.
business in town.
makes him look like a bum.
He's
not.
well known. He's well known. And so
Wow.
you get how these questions would figure that out.
It's just so weird that something has to get that bad for people to take action. And people think, and I've said this, people think a house is an asset. You said it, but a house becomes a problem too many times, and it needs to go. It's not an asset. It's a pain in the butt.
All right. So I get all that, but after telling you what I just told you, I want to finish my story.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to let you know the reason why I bought that house is because he wanted the deed out of his name.
Mm.
He said to me, I want this much money for the house. Just pay me when you get the money.
Mm-hmm.
I want the deed. How quick can you do a closing?
Yeah.
He wanted the deed out of his name, which, by the way, pay attention to me because this is real stuff. Now I know this guy. We've swapped money around. He's lent me money for houses. This is not some brand new client for me.
Yeah.
I talked to him. I made this deal with him on Thursday. On Friday, I had a crew of guys there cleaning the yard.
Mm-hmm.
On Monday, I called the city and said, now I haven't closed on this house. I have a handshake.
Yeah.
Okay. I call the city and say to them, we fixed it. I'm so-and-so. I'm doing this for so-and-so. Please go re-inspect.
Mm-hmm. Please lift the blight order.
And then 2.5 or 3 weeks later, we closed on the property and I got the deed in my name.
Yeah.
But did I or did I not? It cost me, I don't know, I think $3,000 or something like that, $3 or $4,000.
Mm.
Right? It was part of my renovation money. Which,
Sure.
by the way, he lent me renovation money.
Yep. So the problem of the potential embarrassment is gone because the blight's gone. And then you're going to be selling the house. So the deed's going to be gone with any other possible thing that could happen. So he's feeling more comfortable.
He's done. Was that a psychological decision?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not a sociological decision.
No, because I saw this house. I know you were talking about this 2 years ago. Like, Bill, why did he sell the house? Oh, the wife in the house left her shoes there and they're embarrassed. Just bullshit answers. It's just why don't they just sell the house? I don't know. And it just sat there for 2 years. That sociologically makes no sense.
Yeah.
It's a house with a lot of value, costing money instead of making money for this guy.
So the question was, how have you done anything to try to sell the house so far? His answer was no.
Did you ask him why?
Actually, his answer wasn't no. His answer was, I have a realtor friend that he's trying to get me to use, and they flip houses. I'm going to have her look at it.
Uh-huh.
At the end of the day, he went around the block, figuratively, and talked to this one, talked to that one, talked to this one, and came back to me because he knew I would get it done, give him a fair price, and there would be no bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody else that proposed to him, usually realtors,
Yeah.
couldn't solve his problem. What was his problem, Peter?
Well, the embarrassment. I think it's an embarrassment. He's on the zoning and there's a blight order. That's an embarrassment to him. His credibility, his reputation, his repute. And they weren't going to go in and clean up the blight. They'd put it on the market and wait. They're not going to go clean it up. Is a realtor going to go in with a crew and spend $3,000 to clean it up? No.
I disagree with you. You missed it.
Go ahead.
What was his problem, Peter? Deed out of my name.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted it done quickly. He didn't want to wait.
Yeah. So did you put the deed in your name then?
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple weeks later.
A couple weeks later, I closed. I did a full mortgage with him. I completely protected him. He didn't even want that. He wanted to do it on a handshake. He didn't want to even use a lawyer.
Oh.
Can't you just go file the deed? No, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
I put title insurance on it. I put regular insurance. I did it all as if he was my private lender. And he has been in the past.
Yep.
I fully protected him. Next question. Is this helpful?
Yeah. Well, I like the real examples though, because these are real. I saw this one happen, and it's still happening now. It's a house is for sale now. These are real. These are, this is what really happens, folks, and this is how you deal with it. This is why these questions are so important.
Good. So I'm going to just, because we're kind of at the end of our time here, I'm going to just read the rest of these questions and not really getting involved with some conversation. Okay.
Sure.
How is not selling this a house affecting you? That's an awareness character. Or how is it affecting your family? You can move that one around, right? If I were to help you handle blah, would you be interested in selling me your house? Next, would you be interested in me coming out to the house and giving you my professional opinion? Next, when you called me today about your house, what did you think was going to happen? Next, once a buyer agreed to buy your house, what did you envision would happen at that point? Next, what have you done to find a real buyer so far?
A real buyer.
Next, I don't understand. You said you were looking for a buyer, and I'm right here. We use that one when they're talking about going to a realtor.
Yep.
I don't understand. A realtor is going to go look for a buyer, and I'm right here. So if you can't make a deal with me, what makes you think you're going to make a deal with the realtor's buyer? Right?
Yep.
So let me read that again because it looks like it's a two-part question. I don't understand. You said you were looking for a buyer, and I'm right here. What am I doing wrong to make you not want to sell to me? Next, if I call my partner to help us with the deal, what would you want most from him? That's a good one for rookies.
Yeah, the most part.
If I call my partner to help us with the deal, what would you want most from him? Last one. Okay, I have the information I need. I need to discuss this with my partner. When would be a good time for the three of us to talk? Now, I so easily read these questions. Notice I'm reading them and not doing them verbatim because I don't always use them the way I should. Okay.
That's a lot of questions.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you don't need all of them. You just need a few well-placed ones.
So Desiree is asking a little bit of a complicated question here, but she's saying, hey, Bill, how can we let them know the benefits of selling with us and not getting charged capital gains tax? So that's specific, Desiree, to an owner financing deal. It's usually on a free and clear property. That's a specific scenario of when you're doing owner financing. So right now, what we're really talking about is just trying to find out what the problem is. That what you're asking is a solution to the problem. We're still trying to find out what the problem is. So, but we could. Desiree is a coaching client, so we just bring that up in the coaching call, and we could handle it there too. If I didn't answer your question,
I got the idea while going over this that one of the things that, or the main thing. Correct me if I'm wrong. The main thing we're trying to do is showing a person all the benefits that we could provide them by selling to us. And you want to have enough benefits that they say, oh yeah, this is great. This would be good for me then. It might not be just one benefit, it might be a few. But the more problems you found or the more real issues you find, especially like V1 and some little ones. If you solve all of those, they're all benefit, 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 benefit. So I'm thinking if you want to give a person a lot of benefits that you can provide, find as many things that are annoying them, but not missing the real issue, not just little things, but whatever it is, the more the merrier. No?
So Peter, I'm gonna shorten that up for our listeners.
Yeah.
What we just did was give you a list of questions. What I just did was give you a list of questions. These are considered discovery questions.
Yep.
All these questions are to discover. If you ask these questions and don't think about anything, just ask the questions. Let me give you a little bit of a scenario. If you've ever been to one of my seminars, okay, at the end of the seminar, I have very carefully, strategically ask you 3 or 4 questions. Those questions are set up so that when I get the testimonials back, if I just read what you write for answers, it's a paragraph of a testimonial for me. I get you to write the testimonial for me the way I want to hear it. So in other words, what did you like most about the seminar? So I ask 3 or 4 questions, and when you answer them, all I do is take your answers, blend them together in a paragraph, and it's a perfect testimonial.
Mm.
This is the same thing. If you just ask these questions and then take the answers and blend them together, you practically have an offer.
Yeah. That's what I'm getting, because that's what you want to know. What do they need? Mm-hmm. And all those questions paint a picture. Like you use your analogy of painting a picture. Mm-hmm. All those answers paint a picture of what this person is looking for. He just told you. Mm-hmm. So you put them all together. Mm-hmm. All right. That's good.
And you put them together, and then you just go back and feed to them.
The reason I'm bringing this up is we can be reluctant to ask the questions, right? We can be a little timid about it. I don't want to ask people their private business and all that baloney. But so I'm trying to give people a carrot, because it's giving me a carrot. The more you can ask, the more you can understand, the more benefits you can understand, the better, more power you have to actually help this person and do the deal, or at least understand how this works. So the more you ask, the better it is. Like Grant Cardone asking that poor woman for years to marry him.
Right. So here's the thing. If they're still talking to you and they're still communicating with you, they still want, you're still giving them something. They still want something.
Yeah. Yeah. They're still hoping.
This is like, come on, offer building. If you give them the offer, then the sooner you give them the offer, if they don't like it, they'll just walk away.
Yeah.
Right. If you ask these questions and you stall the offer,
yeah,
this is like foreplay. If you stall the offer, right, they're going to keep talking to you until you give them the offer.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're going to keep talking to you, you need to keep extracting information.
Yeah.
Right. It's like a doctor trying to get symptoms of the disease. He needs to ask the questions of the symptoms so he knows where to poke you or look at or x-ray you so that he could tell you the name of the disease.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not doing that unless he asks a bunch of questions.
Yeah.
The right questions. Does this hurt?
Mm-hmm.
How about here? Does that hurt? How about here? What do you feel when I do this?
Mm-hmm.
When I move your leg, what do you feel?
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, it's amazing how
my grandson goes like this. He goes, I know.
Really, he does that?
Puts his finger up. He goes, I know.
Oh, right? That's cute. Yeah,
that's what it reminds me of. Is when Matt goes, I know. Because after you ask these questions, you'll go, I know. Yeah. It'll paint the picture right in front of your eyes.
Yeah.
It'll just be like, I know. It's truly like, in this business, I don't know anybody talking like this. It is absolutely amazing. It takes me more effort to explain it to you guys than actually doing it. It's so just hard. It's just so simple. Just go study your seller. Take this list of questions with you on a clipboard and go in a house and just observe.
Mm-hmm.
Feel the feel, walk the walk, talk the talk. And by the way, production is the basis of morale. The best production that you could do is to go in a house and talk to a seller. Your morale will soar sky high because you talked to the seller.
Mm-hmm.
On this call, Desiree's on here. I mean, she went and did it. She went and did it a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
And that because she did it, so she only did one. That feelings kind of fell off for her. If she were to do that once or twice a week, that burning desire will be like, I'm getting that much closer.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, good. We went 10 minutes over. We weren't supposed to. Make sure you go leave us a comment or a review. Subscribe to wherever you're listening to us. Don't forget to click on the link inside of the description of wherever you're watching this, watching us or listening to us. Thank you so much for all of your support. We've managed to do 236 podcasts without any advertising, for the most part, it's just been Pete and I talking about this stuff. For some people, you may think it's too profound. For some people, you may think this is not rookie stuff. But honestly, if you're going to buy and sell pretty houses, the stuff we talk about here is the way it's going to go. And we have really gone into depth, especially since episode number 200. It's been like coaching sessions. These should not really be podcasts. They should be coaching sessions because this is deep stuff. Okay. So thank you for being here. I really appreciate all of you. Send me a support ticket if you have any questions. Go on to my webpage, Flipping Houses for Rookies. There's free stuff. Also, there's testimonials there. If you want to leave me a testimonial of what you think of me and Pete, would be awesome. That's where our report card is. And we love the feedback. With that said, go out and get in a house. What are you waiting for, man? Let me know what happens. Over and out.
Thanks for tuning in to the hottest real estate topics on the planet with Bill and Pete. If you want to continue learning how to buy and sell real estate without money or credit, head over to flippinghouses.club for some cutting-edge real estate wealth tools. Or contact us at info@flippinghouses.club.